everyone and welcome to my channel. I am doing a highly requested video today. Like, I've never had people want a video so badly. I'm gonna show you how I theme my Instagram and how I edit my photos. For starters, if you are not following me already on Instagram, I will have my Instagram link below in the description. So I'm going to be showing you how I edit my photos and how I make sure my theme matches up all the way, and how I kind of take pictures. I mean, kinda. It's not a huge amount of tips about pictures, mainly about theming. I'm just going to say this before I start: you do not need to have a theme. Some people try to have a theme and they just get so frustrated they end up deleting all their photos and they just hate it. You should be wanting to do it because it's fun and it's something that you enjoy and you find aesthetically pleasing, not something that should be frustrating and a nightmare. So if you try it out, or if you have tried it out and it's not for you, then you don't need to do it. And don't worry if you think your theme isn't pleasing to other people. As long as it's pleasing to you, then that's all that matters. To me and a bunch of other people, having a feed on Instagram, like a nice feed, it makes the Instagram game like so much more fun. So I've tried a bunch of themes in the past and I'll show you over here, but I've tried blues, all different kinds of blues. I've tried purples, I've tried bright colors, I've tried pinks, I've tried a lot. But I've always come back to blue, and what I really like is the light blue theme. That's how I knew it was for me, the light blue color, because I kept coming back to it. So let's get into the beginning of this video. We'll start off with photography because that's what you need to do first. I take about half of my photos with my nice camera and half with my iPhone. My nice camera is a Canon EOS 70D. You do not need to have a nice camera. A lot of phones have decent cameras in them nowadays anyway. I use the other half of my photos on my iPhone 6S, and that takes good pictures too, but I personally like to use my camera for a lot of things. And when I take photos, I like to use the golden ratio. And if you don't know what that is, I will put a little drawing over here. Basically, it means that if you're going to take a picture and you have a subject or something like that, your subject to be either 1/3 of the picture or 2/3 of the picture. It doesn't matter if it's 2/3 from the top or 1/3 from the side, it does not matter. Just as long as 1/3 of the picture is being taken up by the subject, or 2/3, it will be more pleasing, is the theory. Instead of the alternative of it being smack dab in the middle, which can be nice too in certain situations. It's all up to you. But I find that I automatically do the 2/3 or 1/3 thing, and I like it. Another thing is lighting. You want to get as much natural lighting as you can. For example, I always film in front of a ring light, but I also have a window in the background usually as well. I do not like filming with just a ring light. Daylight through a window is a beautiful source of lighting, and it's free. As long as it's not like direct sunshine, if you know what I mean, then it's good. And if you're trying to theme, it would be best to attempt to have similar lighting in all of your photos. It can get messed up when one photo is really light and bright and the other one is really underexposed and just dark. Now for the fun part of this video, and that's the editing part. I get asked a lot about what apps I use to edit my photos, and there's 3 apps that I use. One of them I use all the time, and that's ViscoCam. I'm sure you've heard of it, most people have. It's a very common app for filters and all of that. Before we get into Visco and what filter I use and all of my presets, I'm gonna be talking about the other 2 apps, which I use before I even put the pictures into Visco. So the first app that I really like is Adobe Photoshop Fix. I'm pretty sure this is free. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure. So this app can be really helpful, and basically what I use it for is to desaturate parts of the photo. So I go into color and then I go to desaturate, and I usually bring up the opacity, especially if it's a yellow, because my theme is blue and yellow really doesn't look good with it. I love this app because it shows you the red parts where you've already desaturated, and you can just go around and you can fine tune it later. So I'll get into spaces just to make sure I desaturated. You can see the difference between those two, and I usually go even a step further. And then as you can see, there's gray in parts where there shouldn't be gray. So I go in and then hit the restore button, and I like to have the red on because that's easier to see than where it's actually desaturated. And I just go around the edges and remove that desaturation. A lot of times when you desaturate, it becomes too dark. So I go into light and I go into lighten, and I just lighten up the background. The gray is easy to lighten and it doesn't look as bad as if you were to lighten a color. So you can see there's already a huge difference. And then I will hit OK and I will save that photo. I will then bring that photo into VSCO, and this is where you're going to see my preset. I will import the photo and go into the settings, and I will just do these presets with you. So I either use HB2 or A2. And lately I've been having a more of a light blue theme than normal, so I use A2 a lot more just because it has a lot of lightness in it compared to the HB2. HB2 I'm excited to use for fall just because it brings out those orange tones in your skin. So I'm using A2, and I usually bring it down just because it's super intense. I like to see what it's like without it and then go up. I will go into exposure. I really like to have bright photos, so I like to expose it a lot. And then contrast is good with A2 just because there is none. I go to temperature and I usually lower it, not a lot with A2 just because it's already blue in the filter, just a little bit. And then I go into tint because I am having a blue-green kind of feed instead of a blue-purple feed, and you can see the difference. The other app I use is Facetune. I only use it for the whitening effect. Some people use it to actually change their face, but I don't do that. So let's pull up a photo that is primarily white. This is good for photos with already white in the background. It's just not coming through very white. And I like to go into whiten. It can take a little bit, but if you just rub it, you can see the difference. So once that is done, I will hit the OK. You can erase if you went over places that shouldn't be whitened. And then I go into details and kind of detail the edges, not too much, but just enough, and hit OK, and then I export it, and then go into VSCO. And this is what I love about VSCO, is that you can copy the edits from one picture and put it onto another picture without having to do anything. And obviously you will need to go in and fine tune some things because not every picture is the same. But once I'm done and I decide the photo is how I like it, I will go into my favorite app, and this has changed. It's not even sponsored. Don't even think I'm sponsored by this app or anything. This has changed how I feed. Honestly, has. There's a free version of this app. This app is called Plan, and it is a subscription app, I think. I don't remember. I had iTunes credits, so it worked out for me. But I will show you my Plan app, and then I'll show you the other app that's free. So this is how I plan my feed. I link my Instagram to this app, and it already has the posts that I have posted. And you'll see the ones I haven't posted because it has a gray triangle up in the corner. So here's a little sneak preview of some of my posts. And I love this app because you can hit on the plan button and then go into performance, and you can see some analytics. You can see your palette for your last 12 images, and that can help you plan your feed. And you can have hashtags, so it tells you which hashtags you've used that are the best performing ones. And you can save your normal hashtags in this little vault area for them, which is super easy because all you have to do is hit the copy button and then you can just paste it. So this is the app I love, and you can click and drag and arrange your photos how you want them. Lately, I've been doing kind of a checkerboard theme with the light photos and the darker blue photos. The other free app is called Preview, and I don't use it anymore since I've got Plan, but it's still a good app. So this is like an old one. I have not touched this in a while. My feed was very different when I was using this. However, it works pretty much the same. You can click and drag. They've updated it, so now there is analytics on this app. So if you want to check that out, go ahead. I don't have my profile linked. And I think that's all of my tips. If you guys do decide to use these tips, feel free to tag me in the photos. I love seeing it when you take my advice or something like that. I feel like I'm part of like fam. I will write down in the description what my presets for VSCO are if you do want to come back and reference that. And if you feel like I've missed some tips, then go ahead and leave that down in the comment section below. Let's all help each other try to theme our Instagrams. So don't forget to have fun with it. Don't forget to not put too much value into it. And other than that, I love you guys to the end of space and back. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and tap that bell because I do post every week, or I try. Bye.